Greens and sanitation film fans, Team Movies here. Now, since the new movie Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, since that film takes place in 1968, I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite movies of 1968. Because recently I just did my top 10 favorite 1969 movies, so now it's 1968's turn. And it looked like it had an 1968 looked like it had a really interesting year for movies and all. So that being said, here's my list. Coming in at Coming in at number 10 is going to be a film called The Boston Strangler. Now, the film is about where like a string of women in Boston end up turning up dead, and so the police is launched an investigation that's pretty much headed by John Bottomley, played by Henry Fonda, and they're pretty much trying to arrest the Boston Killer, and the Boston Killer is of course named Albert DeSalvo, who's of course been like strangling women and all that. I mean, this is a really interesting film. Pretty intense. I mean, crazy that this movie got released in the 60s. I mean, yeah. But the Boston Strangler is played by Tony Curtis, who, by the way, is the dad of Jamie Lee Curtis. There's a little tidbit for you there. And the Boston Strangler was a really interesting look at how that investigation went down. And, I mean, yeah, it's a really interesting flick. I mean, Fonda was pretty good. Curtis was decent. It was directed by Richard Fleischer. He did a pretty good job at directing. Got like Golden Globe nominations. You also had George Kenny was in this. So pretty interesting group of actors. And yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't seen The Boston Strangler, it's a really interesting film. I mean, crazy. It's insane to know what that guy did. And yeah, it's hard. It's kind of a hard film to watch, but it was still pretty decent. And like the performances was great. And yeah, go check out the Boston Strangler if you guys haven't seen that. Okay, coming in at number 9 is going to be The Odd Couple. Now they of course did a TV show of this, and they also did like a TV reboot of it as well with Matthew Perry and Thomas Lennon. But the movie version, the film version starred Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. And here you got Jack Lemmon, who plays a character named Felix, who becomes like very suicidal over his divorce. And he ends up accepting an offer to move in with his best friend named Oscar, played by Walter Matthau. And of course, Felix ends up driving Oscar pretty crazy over his obsession with his soon-to-be ex. And they also end up falling for like these British neighbors played by Monica Evans and Carol Shelley. And it's also like a film about friendship. And I mean, Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, they worked together pretty good. Like they had some pretty interesting. Remember this? Don't want to try my drink. They had some really good chemistry with one another. This movie is hilarious. And like I said, they also did like a TV version of it as well. They also did the Odd Couple 2, which was actually not all that good. The first Odd Couple is great. But Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, those two work together perfectly. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Odd Couple, it is based on a play by Neil Simon as well, so there's that. But yeah, go check out the Odd Couple if you guys haven't seen that. Alright, coming in at number 8 is going to be Yellow Submarine. Now, this is, of course, a film that stars the Beatles, and if you guys know, the 60s was like Beatlemania and all that. So they were trying to get like the Beatles in films and all. I think Yellow Submarine is probably the best movie that the Beatles have ever been in. It's about like these this under siege guy people named the Blue Mayonnaise, who's like a nasty group of music hating creatures, And so the Lord Mayor of Pepperland, played by Dick Ermey, dispatches a sailor old friend named Lance Purcell to head to Liverpool, England, where they end up recruiting the help other Beatles. And it's a classic. I mean, some really interesting songs were in this. I mean, it was pretty cool seeing the Beatles or in a film together. I mean, this movie is pretty much iconic. The whole film takes place in, of course, a yellow submarine. I mean, all the Beatles were in this. You had John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, George Harrison. I mean, they were iconic, And yeah, if you guys never seen Yellow Submarine yet, go check it out. Especially if you're a fan of the Beatles. Okay, coming in at number 7 is going to be a film called Funny Girl. Now, the film is about this lady named Fanny Bryce, played by Barbara Streisand, who pretty much starts out as a bill player on New York City's Vanderbilt stage and all, and she's pretty much trying to find her focus to Broadway and all, but there's like comedic talents that's like pretty much by the Rio Deer impression, played by Walter Pidgeon, and so she ends up trying to become like a comedian now. Funny Girl is a really funny little film. Barbara Streisand, she was really great in this. Walter Pidgeon was decent. Yeah, this movie is really funny. It's heartfelt, and yeah, I believe this movie also scored an Oscar nomination, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a really decent film. So if you guys haven't seen Funny Girl, go check it out. And it's probably one of Barbara Streisand's better performances too. So coming in at number 6 is going to Rosemary's Baby. I mean, directed by Roman Polanski, who Roman Polanski is a sicko. Like, he's a really sick guy. But that aside, he's had some really good movies. And pretty much Rosemary's Baby is one of them. Of course, he did Chinatown and Macbeth and all. But I think maybe Rosemary's Baby is probably Polanski's best work. I mean, it's where this woman is carrying the child of Satan. Yeah, and it's a really creepy film. I mean, I think this movie is one reason why lots of people are afraid to have kids and all. But Rosemary's Baby, I mean, you had Mia Farrow, you had John Confessy in this, Cindy Blackmer was in this, Ruth Gordon. I mean, this movie is a real creep fest. It's definitely one of the best horror movies of that era. And Mia Farrow, of course, gave an outstanding performance here. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen Rosemary's Baby by now, go check it out. It's a really interesting film. Alright, coming in at number 5 is going to be Bullet. I mean, pretty much starring one of the best action stars of that era, Mr. Steve McQueen. You know, Steve McQueen, of course, plays the title of Bullet. It's based on a book. I mean, it has some cool car chases in this. I mean, I guess you could say, you could probably say a Bullet was like that generation's transporter in a way. Steve McQueen was a little similar to Jason Statham in a way when he does like action and all. And also you had Robert Vaughn was also in this. Pat Renella. Yeah, it's definitely one of the best action movies of that era. It's a really fun, entertaining thrill ride. Probably one of the best cars ever made. You also had Jacqueline Bisset in this too. I mean, who didn't like Jacqueline Bisset? Yeah, if you guys never seen Bullet by now, it's a classic right there. All right, coming in at number 4 is it's a zombie classic. That is Night of the Living Dead. You know what? If it wasn't for Night of the Living Dead, we literally we seriously wouldn't have Walking Dead. I'll just say that up front. We would not have Walking Dead if it wasn't for Night of the Living Dead. No, Night of the Living Dead really paved the way for iconic vampire, zombie stuff. Why did I say vampires? Anyway, and Night of the Living Dead it's a real classic. I mean, this movie also made history, by the way, because it was like the first horror movie to feature a black lead, and that also paved like you know Jordan Peele could probably tell you Night of the Living Dead kind of influenced him when he did Get Out and all. And I mean, it also has some really gruesome stuff. I mean, funny in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, it features one of the some of the characters watching Night of the Living Dead at a driveway. I found that to be pretty cool. You know, I've never been to a driveway before. I've always wanted to see what a driveway felt like, what way felt like. Never really been to a drive-in theater. One of these days, I'd love to go one to one. But anyway, back to Night of the Living Dead. It is like the most iconic zombie movie there is. It also has the most iconic line of "They're coming to get you, Barbara." I mean, that line is pretty iconic right there in its own front. And of course, it was directed by the great, pretty much by the great George A. Romero, who always directed some of the best zombie movies there is. Yeah, I mean, George A. Romero, he was the godfather of zombies. Like, if it wasn't for George A. Romero, we would not have Walking Dead. Like, seriously. And also, the lead actor was Dwayne Jones. He was terrific. Judith O'Dea played Barbara. Russell Stainer played the role of Johnny. I mean, the zombies all look pretty cool. I mean, there wasn't much like effects back in the day like they have now. But man, the makeup they used for Night of the Living Dead and all was great, and it was more violent than you expect for a 1968 film. And yeah, definitely go check out Night of the Living Dead if you guys never seen it. Coming in at number 3 is going to Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes is such an iconic film. You got Charlton Heston who ends up going like pretty much crash landing in pretty much like a dimension where apes inhabit the earth. I mean, Charlton Heston he's an iconic actor right there. Who doesn't love the great Charlton Heston? He was terrific in this movie. Lots of the apes was all pretty cool. This movie is definitely one of the best, like one of the best sci-fi movies of that era. It also paved the way for a couple of sequels. We also had like a Tim Burton remake. Then there was, of course, Rise, Dawn, War for the Planet of the Apes that we had. But the original Planet of the Apes is just such an iconic masterpiece, and it's a really great dystopia sci-fi film. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen Planet of the Apes by now, go check it out. It's a really good one. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Stanley Kubrick's iconic masterpiece, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's based on a book by Arthur C. Clarke. I mean, and of course, is where like Dr. Dave Bowen, played by Kurt Dula, and other astronauts are like sent on a mysterious mission, and their ship's computer system, HAL, ends up beginning to display increasingly strange behavior and all, and it ends up resulting in a mind-bending trek to space and time. I mean, lots of people could literally tell you that 2001: A Space Odyssey paved the way for lots of sci-fi classics like Star Wars. You could tell was influenced by this. The Martian was very influenced by 2001, and it's of course one of Stanley Kubrick's most masterpiece film. It is really long. I mean, it It's like, I think, 2 hours or 3 hours, something like that. I still gotta watch this on the big screen. They actually they actually re-released this on the big screen last year, but I never really got a chance to see it. But man, this gets to play on the big screen again. Maybe I'll take some time out and watch 2001 on the big screen. Because I heard it's iconic. Watch this on the big screen. I mean, HAL is, of course, the most iconic robot there is. Kurt, Delua was great. I mean, yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Go check that one out. It's definitely one of the best sci-fi movies of that era. So, yeah. Alright. My favorite movie of 1968 is going to make one of the best cars ever. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I mean, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang starring the great Dick Van Dyke. I mean, about a flying car. I mean, what more could you ask for? A flying car. I'm not lying. I've always wanted to be in a flying car. That would be cool to see. I mean, I know there's like talked about in the future we might get flying cars, but holy cow, I want that. I really want that to exist. Like, I'd love to have a real life Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That would be cool. And this also has some really great music. Like, you have the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang theme song, the Choop Sweet song. It's a really great masterpiece film. It's fantastic, and I gotta say, it's kind of underrated too. I mean, lots of people barely talk about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang now. Like, if I go in the street and ask people, they'll probably not even know what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang really holds up today as other classics like Mary Poppins or Wizard of Oz or Willy Wonka or anything. But I still quite enjoy Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's a really great film. I remember watching this movie as a kid. I used to own it on VHS one time, and I really quite enjoyed it. It's a really great film. And Dick Van Dyke, that guy could sing and dance. I mean, we already saw that in Mary Poppins. So, and Dick Van Dyke could do it all. So, if you guys never seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang by now, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It's a really great film. Alright, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. 10. The Boston Strangler. 9. The Odd Couple. 8. Yellow Submarine. 7. Funny Girl. 6. Rosemary's Baby. 5. Bullet. 4. Night of the Living Dead. 3. Planet of the Apes. 2. 2001: A Space Odyssey. And 1. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But there's some other great movies of 1968 that was also pretty good. Let me pull up the credit. Thomas Crown Affair is a classic. There's also Lion in the Winter. That's a good one, which I believe that was Anthony Hopkins' first film, by the way. Oliver. Once Upon a Time in the West. The Swimmer. Herbie the Love Bug. The original Yours, Mine, and Ours. Barbarella. I mean, some really interesting movies that got released that era. But let me leave you guys. What are some of your favorite movies of 1968? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, more notifications. This year's Team Movies. Sign off.